That's a fingernail polish. That's that you got a fingernail polish remover. That fingernail polish, take it off.
Would you care to share your California feedback timeline review? Granted that you guys here
just marker on a sneaker. No, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to think.
That's the gas cans right now. I don't know what you got. What that is? It's the one that will keep it. You got some money.
I do, for real. Not even saying that. No.
We outside there. We got 80 here.
Originally from Yonkers, New York, Ms. Collins started attending North Advanced High School in Henderson, North Carolina, where her music trainings were kept sharp and was also drum major of the Corps-style marching band. Since then, Ms. Collins evolved herself with the craft by deciding to obtain her college degree in music education from Fayetteville State University. While getting her attitude checked and Bronco pride, she continued to push herself with music. Ms. Collins also made time to enjoy the full college experience by volunteering with community service, which led her to pledge the oh-so-sweet Omega Beta chapter Zeta Phi Beta Incorporated. During her upperclassmen years, she was challenged with the introduction of new leadership. With determination and hard work, she became head drum major for FSU's Marching Bronco Express. Taking this responsibility, she learned to compose and arrange music and write drills. This inspired her more to want to make this her career as a band director. Ms. Collins went on to start the career teaching music technology at Ramsey Street High School, which opened the doors to become the band director at Douglasboro Middle School. Eventually, Ms. Collins added to her passion by also becoming the assistant band director and drum major instructor at 71st High School, Southern Sound of Soul. Currently, 71st High School band program is under the direction of Nichole Collins. This program includes a nationally competing and multi-award-winning marching band, concert band, and a creative student-led jazz band, all of which have maintained the out-of-the-box tradition even during this pandemic's virtual transition. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Nichole Collins. Ms. Cybil Haskins, Director of Bands at Hillside High School in Durham, North Carolina. She has a bachelor's in music education with the clarinet concentration from North Carolina Central University. She has a master's in music theory and composition from Norfolk State University. She has arranged for several university bands and high school bands, including NCCU, NSU, VSU, NCA&T, E.E. Smith, Warren County High School, and Southern Durham High School. She enjoys yoga and meditation. One of her favorite quotes is, "As long as you live the way you do in the present, your future will continue to be your past." Cybil Haskins comes from a musical family. Her father, a lead guitarist, and mother, vocalist and pianist, helped shape her musical journey, as it began through her exposure to the gospel scene through church and quartet music. She played the clarinet, saxophone, and flute in church until entering college at North Carolina Central University. Ms. Haskins' passion is composition and arranging. Her first attempt at arranging was in the 7th grade. Through dedication, trial and error, she continued to pick at the art of arranging. Ms. Haskins' talent, recognized by Norfolk State, offered her an opportunity to stay with Paul R. Adams and Ms. Geraldine Boone. Ms. Haskins continues to compose and arrange, but due to the nature of her position, which she values deeply, most of her time goes to educating her students at Hillside High School. Ms. Haskins believes that actions speak louder than any word can fathom. She also believes that the world is in dire need of educators who care in order to push the craft of music forward in this very evolving world. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up to Ms. Cybil Haskins.
An accomplished educator, Tomisha Brock has led superior instrumental and vocal ensembles on the public school level in Virginia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. A native of Carrollton, Virginia, Tomisha Brock began her education at the age of 3 at the Hampton University Laboratory Institute and graduated at the age of 16 from Smithfield High School located in Smithfield, Virginia. She received a Bachelor of Music Education degree from Virginia State University in 2005, a Master of Music Education degree from Norfolk State University in 2011, and has completed additional coursework at Capella University in 2012. Dr. Brock received her PhD in Music Education from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro in 2020. Dr. Brock has served as Director of Instrumental Music and Coordinator of Music Education at the University of Mount Olive, as Director of Bands at Garfield High School, and as Director of University Bands and Assistant Professor of Music at Clark Atlanta University. She holds the distinct honor of being the first female band director at Clark Atlanta University and in the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. Dr. Brock has also served as Associate Director of Bands and Assistant Professor of Music at Mississippi Valley State University and Director of University Bands at Elizabeth City State University. Dr. Brock was a 2019 Intercollegiate Music Association Symphonic Band Clinician and the 2017 HBCU MBDC All-Star Concert Band Clinician at the annual conference held in Atlanta, Georgia. She was named Spectacular Magazine's 2016 Woman of the Year in the category of Education and received Elizabeth City State University's Queen Dominion Woman of the Year Award in 2014. In 2013, she was honored by the Northeastern North Carolina chapter of the National Council of Negro Women, receiving the Black Pearls Unsung Hero Award for outstanding contributions in the category of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Brock has served as a guest clinician and adjudicator at several events to include the Mid-South Regional High Stepping Championships, Northeast Regional High Stepping Championships, North Carolina Show Style Band State Competition, and others. In the community, Dr. Brock is the founder and CEO of Prodigious Concepts, LLC, and serves as a Praxis 2 and educational consultant, assisting music education majors and current professionals with the tools necessary for success on teacher licensure assessments. She is an honorary member of Tuba Phi Tuba Brass Fellowship, Tau Beta Sigma National Honorary Band Sorority Incorporated, and Kappa Kappa Psi National Honorary Band Fraternity Incorporated. She's an active member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated and Sigma Alpha Iota International Music Fraternity for Women, and holds active and associate memberships in the Norfolk State University Alumni Association and Virginia State University Alumni Association. She's a past president of the Intercollegiate Music Association and maintains professional memberships in the College Band Directors National Association, National Association for Music Educators, Women Band Directors International, and the HBCU National Band Directors Consortium. Dr. Brock has one daughter, Lakaya. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Dr. Brock.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fayetteville State University's Musical Expressions series. My name is Dr. Joram Reed, Director of Bands at Fayetteville State University. I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton over to my Assistant Director of Bands, Mr. Austin Chalmers, and we're going to go ahead and start with this beautiful forum. I would just like to ask to make sure everyone is respectful, to keep your devices on mute so we don't get any background interruptions. And also, we have a spotlight where we will have our three special panelists be able to speak and have the floor. And once again, thank you all for speaking to my students.
All right, thank you for that. I am Professor Austin Chalmers, Assistant Director of Bands. And again, we want to welcome everyone to this forum. We have an excellent panel of professionals that are going to give their perspectives on topics that we'll talk about today. And so again, we appreciate everyone for their presence and also for their support. Again, this is very important in everything that we have going on today with band programs in music education and overall aspects of the representation of women in these particular fields. So again, we appreciate everyone's presence today. I guess what we'll do is we'll start with the forum. We'll have some questions and, of course, we'll give them the floor. And I think we'll go in the order in which they were introduced. So first will be Mrs. Collins, and then second will be Mrs. Haskins, and then lastly will be Dr. Brock. So we'll go in that order there so we can stay consistent as well. Also, when we get to the end, there'll be times where we'll have a question and answer session as well, where those that are on the call will have the opportunity. If you have any questions, or also too, if you would like to put any questions in the chat, you can do that as well, and I will read them for you. So we appreciate that. Okay, I think first thing that we'll do is that if I know we gave you all some introductions, but if you can just briefly just kind of let us know who you are and tell us about yourself real briefly, and then we'll go on to the next series of questions after that. So we'll start with Mrs. Collins. Ms. Collins, you there? You're on mute. Okay.
Boom, can you hear me?
There we go. There we
Hey!
go.
One, I am a proud attendee of coming from Fayetteville State University. So shout out to my Broncos. Hey!
Attitude check.
Bronco pride. Sounds good, right? Well, one, I like to say thank you for having me and good afternoon. And hey, Mom. My mom is also on and she's class of 1970. Go girl. One, I like to introduce myself. Originally attending Fayetteville State University, I was known as Nichole Fleming. I am now Nichole Collins. Coming to Fayetteville off the legacy of my mom, I was not going to enter the field of education. Wasn't even on my mind. Was I in band all my life? Yes, I've been doing music since I was a toddler, my father's footsteps, but I was into sports. So I was balancing sports and band. I thought I was gonna be a big track star, which I was in high school, but things happened and the way it transpired, I ended up in Fayetteville, coming to Fayetteville State. We had a band director there that was very insisting on me joining. Dr. Bray came to me one afternoon and told me I was going to be in his band, and I let him know that I was not. I was a computer science major. Not knowing in the back of my head, computer science was not my passion. There's one piece of advice my father gave me growing up: do what you love or you will hate it. I was hating computer science. I'm not knocking it, it just wasn't for me. So coming to Fayetteville State allowed me to explore what I wanted, and I kept getting drawn to the band. And by Dr. Bray approaching me and telling me what I was going to do, one, we talked business, and that business transaction to, okay, you added some moolah to the conversation. Got you. I figured I was set since I was on a academic scholarship, so I wasn't really paying attention. I came, I did the audition, not knowing it opened a door of full passion to me. You guys know back in the day, band can go all night and then some, and then wake up and do it again. But that was something I so enjoyed. The first high school show style band program I ever saw was E.E. Smith. I think at the time, the only two that were in the area were E. Smith and Westover High School. So I was able to see this new genre of marching band that I had never been exposed to. And coming from core style, I was like, wow, y'all play and dance? Okay, y'all do a lot. So it was something refreshing to me, and just being in the band room and learning different techniques that were brought to me. Going through my time, I ended up changing my major to music education, which I saw it wasn't a job. It was something that I wanted to train for, to become a career that I would be passionate in. I'm the type of person, once I get in something, I'm 100%, or I don't want to be a part of it. And that was something that I chose to do. My mom second guessed me a little bit coming from the business world, but I reassured her that this was something I really wanted to get into. So I did. I changed my major. I didn't look back. I worked hard at it, and it was the best decision I could have ever made. I did move away for a little bit after graduation. I came back, divorced, single mom of two wonderful little boys that were pulling at my own coattails. And my frat brother introduced me to 71st High School when I came back. And that was something we discussed when we were in college about helping each other, whoever had a high school first. So I did get into that. I got my foot in the door at one of the alternative high schools here with teaching music technology. So that opened up another door of what I wanted to get into. So getting my feet wet in the band world was very exciting, time consuming, but worth it. And to this day, it's something that we can all say we had blood, sweat, and tears going through as music majors. For those that are on here, I salute you. Getting through that, but then also applying the knowledge that I had. And I get the reward of, once I've applied this knowledge to my kids, they get to venture on to do the same thing. And it's becoming full circle now that I've been teaching 10 plus years. I'm able to see the children that we've taught in previous times come back to the field come back to the staff that we have to incorporate what they've learned. So I'm in that realm of my career right now where I get to see the young ones that we had from the beginning. They're adults now, and now they get to see things from our aspect. So that's just a little something of a background for myself. Those that know me, I'm silly all day. So I can go from hardcore to super silly. It's probably no in between for me. But I like to teach outside of the box. My teaching style, I really can't compare to other people. I'm a little different. I also like to invite kids that don't have experience, because it could be that one kid that has that one gift that you pulled out of them. I know some programs may not allow certain levels to enter after a certain time, but I've learned, especially this day and age, you don't want to lose that one person, because that one person, you could have saved their life, or they could have pulled out a whole aspect of their gift that they didn't know they had. And I had a chance to experience that at least once a year for a child that was not originally in band, but able to do so through our program. So that's pretty much kind of like my niche I like to go for, is giving kids opportunities and then bridging that gap after high school. I am that one that tells you, you're going to get out your mama's house, and here's the plan to do so. All parents stand up and do that when they hear that, how to get out your mama's house. So we usually try to preach that at the beginning, especially my freshmen that come in and try to start. I'm still in rebuilding stage. I feel I've been at 71st over the program for a few years now, and it's a different group that's emerging. So I'm still learning as we go. And as you see in this pandemic, which I'm sure we'll jump into at some point, it's shifting everyone's way of life, even on how we operate as educators. So I'm excited, I'm flexible, I love being here, and I thank you so much for having me, and I am ready to get into it.
All right, great, thank you. Thank you. And also too, I know myself and Mrs. Collins, we worked together in Cumberland County, so it was always great. It's great to see where you are now and just seeing you progress and grow. So all right, so let's move on now to Mrs. Cybil Haskins. Okay, let's see. Hold on.
Thank you. As he said, I'm Miss Cybil Haskins. And I am the director of bands at Hillside High School in my 5th year. I enjoy it, absolutely love it. Not gonna speak too long on the introduction, but I will say that my life progressions kind of mirrored Miss Fleming Collins, almost to a T, even from the point of I didn't know there was a such thing as a music major until maybe sophomore year. But I was a musician growing up, so I kind of had that regardless of whether I would go into education or not, I would still be doing something musically. I know that. And that's pretty much it with me. I'm happy where I am right now. We are doing a lot of things virtually, trying to keep the kids engaged so that when we do get back into the real world, they're able to jump right in and are not rusty. It's very challenging and sometimes a little disheartening to, see the numbers drop. But those that continue throughout the end, I'm sure they will really appreciate the finished product. And that's pretty much what we have going on. Nice to see everybody, and I'm excited to get into it as well.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Haskins. North Carolina Central Eagle. We both marched in the band together under Dr. Joram Reed, so good to see you again. All right, so let's now move on to Dr. Brock.
Hi,
There we go.
everybody. Okay, it's good to be here. Thank you just for this wonderful opportunity. Similar to Miss Collins and Miss Haskins, well, I knew by the time I went to college I was going to major in music, but that was not the original goal. I originally wanted to be and was supposed to be majoring in biology pre-med. I was supposed to be a bone specialist, and I had the goal of becoming a CSI agent or working for as a forensic scientist one day. But I do come from a long line of music educators, band directors, and choir directors in my family. So regardless of what I was going to major in college, I knew that I was going to still be an active participant in the band and still stay on my instrument, which is a clarinet. But majoring in music has definitely opened a lot of doors to me, both personally and professionally, and just having the support of family members who are also in music and having the support, just of friends who were closely connected through music has definitely helped me throughout my career. Going to Virginia State University was probably the best decision I could have made undergrad. I was not originally supposed to go to Virginia State. I was supposed to go to Norfolk State University and have been to every first view known to man growing up. But I met Mr. Houghton, had the opportunity to audition for him. And it wasn't the audition that made my decision. It was the fact that he allowed me to sit in his symphonic band rehearsal that same afternoon and to become a part of that family for a day. That's what made my decision to go, as well as the influence of my high school band director, who she and I are best friends now. She's even my daughter's godmother. But just that nurturing, I think, growing up allowed me to steer, in the direction of Virginia State University and major in music. But over the past 17 years or so since I've been in higher ed, I've done 8 years in the K-12 level and 8 years on the university level. It has been a truly a dream come true, and never doing it for accolades or anything like that, but doing it to impact the lives of others and to provide holistic education through music. So I'm excited to be here. You all picked the right 3 women to be on the call. We're all very close friends. We're about to cut up today, but I'm looking forward to this and looking forward to helping to impact the lives of those that we're talking to. So thank you again.
Definitely.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and great. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the first question for the panel. And our first question is, or our first topic is, excuse me, as a female band director, have you experienced any difficulties leading? And are there any gender biases that you've noticed within the organization or in the community? And so we will start with Mrs. Collins.
No time limit. We're not going to do like the debates. So you don't have to worry about reclaiming your time.
All right, so I had to reclaim my time because my mute came in late. One, when I first read that question, I did bust out laughing just a little bit. For my female companions here, you already know what that answer is. Yes, yes, yes. C, yes. Unfortunately, with my personal experiences, it was more so within the organization. Outside the organization, it's doors open wide, like, hey girl, go get it. There's little mishaps sometimes depending on where you are, what region, how you are viewed. And it sometimes is an innocent mistake. Like if you're taking your marching band somewhere and it could be, oh, hey, are you the dance coach? Like
We lost you. We lost you right there at dance coach. Okay, looks like we had have a technical issue. Would let's see, until Mrs. Collins gets back, Dr. Brock or maybe Miss Haskins, would you want to kind of go ahead and chime in? And then we'll still allow everyone to reclaim their time. All the time is yours.
All right. So as she was saying, we've all experienced those difficulties. At this point, that is something that I'm sure we're all immune to, or understand that that's just a part of life right now, what's going to happen. But like with prayer, honestly, and good mentors and trial and error and just being a lifelong learner, you learn to figure out how to handle those things. That's pretty much the answer to that, in my opinion.
I agree. Yes, definitely. There are some, I wouldn't necessarily say I've encountered any difficulties leading, because, you know, I've always prayed about everything first, and I've always just led with faith. And that's how I run all of my programs, be it K-12 or higher ed. But when it comes to gender biases, yes, most definitely. Should it be the norm? No. Should we continue to accept it? Definitely not. And from my friends that know me, I have no filter when it comes to, you know, accepting the gender biases and accepting the discrepancies with even something as a salary difference. I know being in this industry, there have been many times where I may have taught an overload of 18 credit hours per semester, but have had male counterparts in the same field that are making almost twice as what I was making. And the only obligation they had was to teach marching band. Yet I was expected to teach marching band, concert band, small ensembles, teach music education courses, teach general education courses. And no, don't take that I'm griping and complaining. I love teaching. I'm an educator first and foremost, but definitely I'm at the point in my career, you're going to pay me what I'm worth. And it's never really about the money, but it's about the time and effort and the sweat equity. Being a female, a lot of times I had my a teaching job, I will not mention where, but one of the interview questions at the end, while it is against the law to ask, I was simply told, do I plan to have any more children? And with a man, you don't have to worry about carrying a child for 9 months and being on maternity leave and taking time off of work, you know, if there's a complication. When I had my daughter, I was hospitalized for 4 months. And luckily, I was in a school district where my administrator was another female, and she understood what I was going through. Not only did I have the support of that district through my pregnancy and through the hospitalization, she took it out of her time to bring me my paycheck. She drove 2.5 hours to deliver my paycheck to my door and to just check on me. I did not get that same equal care when, you know, I worked for a male administrator. Not saying, you know, I do respect my men administrators, but a lot of the times when you have to deal with family issues, taking your children to the doctor, we don't always get the same care and respect that our male counterparts do. And that's something that we need to work and be very vocal about changing. One thing I do love about my experience in the industry, especially from my male colleagues, I love you and I appreciate you because you always treated me as an equal. You've always treated me as an equal. You've always been there to support me, but I've always stood my ground. But much like most of you have seen on the vice presidential debate last night, Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, felt she had some things she was a little reserved with because as a woman, and especially as a woman of color, a lot of the times when we speak our mind, we're perceived as being the angry Black woman. You know, and a lot of times, oh, you always have an attitude. No, it's not that we have an attitude, is that we're being assertive and affirmative in our decisions. And it's hard to take it from a woman, but if a man said it the same way we said it, and usually with a little more vigor, they would definitely take it and not think twice about it. So there are some gender biases that are ever so present in our community, in our organization, and most definitely still in the music industry. But I would like to think that we're making some strides in a positive direction to change that and reverse that. But we need to continue to be vocal, ladies. We need to continue to stand our ground. And men, we need you to continue to support us. We're all in this together and we're working. But that is something that's definitely prevalent in our community.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you for those words. Ms. Collins had a power outage, but she said she'll be back on as soon as she can.
She's on now.
Okay, great. Great.
Got her back.
Okay.
So you can unmute.
Okay.
There we go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. All right.
Welcome to the pandemic. Flexibility, like I was saying, we're in the midst of things happen. So technology had to make a switch. So I'm not eating up too much time. I just wanted to, I am sure we've probably all just said the same thing when it came to biasness and having difficulties with our leadership in our positions. Our main thing is everyone looks for the same type of support, but we know it's not there. As in when a male band director comes in, a lot of times it's within the kind of more so like the boys club. You have your football coaches, you kind of pocket it in, you have your administration, and sometimes it's a little different when it comes to a female coming in. It's a different type of pressure of, well, what are you gonna do? Or can you handle this? My main issue was being able to prove myself. Even though I had already been with 71st's program for several years as the assistant, I still had to continuously, and to this day, still prove myself. I feel like I have within my own right, but it's more so that pressure of you can't make a mistake as a female. That's just from my perspective, versus their male counterparts out there that may not even be on a certain female's level. But because it's a female, the latter sense makes more of a jump over you sometimes, depending on what arena you're in. My main concern was the support of your organization versus your community. The community, from what I've experienced, has been very pleasing. It's honest mistakes of them not knowing who you are until they learn who you are. But as in within the organization, I've seen more biasness, even currently, when it comes to being a female band director. So you just have to learn how to roll with it, not take punches, that I don't do, but as in learn the game and how to finagle that.
Great. Thank you for that. Thank you.
You know, Nichole kind of touched on something that I guess, you know, that you all could probably elaborate on further, especially with the timing. The timing of this was somewhat intentional because, you know, yesterday we saw, you know, an African-American female who attended an HBCU participate in the vice presidential debate. For my students who are on, I hope you all were actively watching that because that's history. I don't really think you understand how big that is. You know, outside of this fly that's getting all of the attention. And the you know, if you know, because you talked about having to prove yourself, you talked about, you know, all of these things, like if you make a mistake, being under this scrutiny. And last night we even saw those microaggressions. I could almost feel Senator Harris almost trying to control her behavior because of how she's going to be perceived, but yet there was still talks of her being a certain way, even though she wasn't doing any interrupting. I don't know, you know, and of course I take it personal because, you know, my first collegiate band director job, I was the assistant to an African-American female who attended an HBCU, and that was Miss Robin Reeves. And I saw her go through so many things as a double minority. How could you speak to that? Because not only are you a female, but you're also a Black female. And oftentimes you're working in an environment where sometimes the atrocities are afflicted by people that look just like you. And I'll mute myself.
I would definitely like to say I have definitely, you know, experienced that teaching at both an HBCU and a PWI institution. At a HBCU, definitely being one of, at one particular school, being one of only 2 females in the department. And a lot of times we will offer suggestions in the department that were really good and critical to what we were doing. However, we were overlooked or kind of ignored, or we were kind of degraded as far as what we were saying. Yet when the male counterpart would say the same thing, another faculty member would say the same exact thing we said, they'll, oh yeah, that's a great idea. That's great. I'm sitting there like, you've got to be kidding me. But I held my peace because, you know, you can't be the angry Black woman in the workplace. You have to always be politically correct. But you best believe on that ride home, I said everything I was thinking in my mind. At a PWI, my experience there, being a double minority, definitely was that feeling of who are you and what are you going to do that's different? And, you know, how do we know that you're qualified to do this? It was always that type of environment. And no matter what I did, it was always like digging out of a hole. And I felt almost like I was set up, you know, to always have to go the extra mile to really prove, you know, not only that I knew what I was doing, but that it was effective. And a lot of the times when you mention things in a meeting and it challenges, you know, the common thought, it was sometimes frowned upon, whether it was right or wrong, you know, it was frowned upon. So just that dynamic as well, having to fight that with both professors and the students was a difficult situation. I did enjoy my time there, but it definitely opened up my mind to just the dynamics, the similarities that HBCUs and PWIs face, but also the additional challenges we face as minority faculty members at one of the traditional institutions.
So with me, I guess as a double minority, honestly and truthfully, I know that is evident, but I never really paid too much attention to any of that. Growing up, have 6 brothers, 2 sisters. 2 sisters are the oldest, then it's 4 boys, then it's me, then it's 2 boys. So I was around boys all the time, and just being honest, mentally, I kind of thought, kind of like male, like, if that makes sense. Not by, I mean, kind of by default, because that's what I was always around. So if ever something came about where I felt like there was a barrier, I just said, I'm about to try to do this. I never really looked at it as a issue. I know it's an issue, but okay, I can't change it. I can only fix me. And I know what I want to do and what I'm going to do. So that's the answer to that question.
And Mrs. Collins?
All right, I think we're all pretty much gonna say the same thing when it comes to the doubt in the system. Just given I had more of a triple whammy where, oh girl, you are Black pregnant women. Ooh, it was such voodoo. Like I literally got questioned even upon entering my position, being a single mom, I was questioned in the process. How can you handle that? And of course, my response is, like any proud mother, how many Black mamas out here hold it down by themselves? Plenty, and then some, and are cute at it. That was my answer. I gave you the funny answer because you gave me a funny question. But as in moving on within my career, I didn't think I would face that again. I got chastised a lot about the things I would say or how I would say them. My band kids now know I'm a lot nicer than before. And it's, you never look at a band director as in, oh, are they gonna be nice to me? All of us have experienced that one or more crazy band director. Here's a secret, guys. We're all crazy. But as in dealing with the powers that be, that gets personal sometime where, you know, we're in tunnel vision. We're trying to get certain things done for our kids. We don't have time to rub backs all day. And comparing that, I'll let you look at the football field. Do you see coaches out there patting backs and try it again, guys? No, you're going to get your head chewed off. Let's get it. Let's go. And as a female giving that off, it's like, oh, you're being so harsh. We want you to nurture the children. That doesn't always work in all instances. So having that to play with has been, I'm learning to operate around that. I'm not changing who I am. It's just more so of molding the politics and the powers that be of having an understanding with your program and their parents. When that is clear, you roll the way you want to roll in a legal sense. Like, don't get outrageous with it, but having that connection with your band program and your band parents, they will understand, oh, Miss Collins is not being malicious. She's a little crazy, but she's trying to get something done with my kid. And then the powers that be, they go be. So I've learned to let that go, leave me alone. If I'm pregnant, that's my right, great. If I got kids swinging off the back of my shoulders, awesome. I'm still getting my work done. That's all you're supposed to see. And like Miss Haskins, I was always surrounded by guys. Learning music, it was guys. Being a drum major, it was guys. So I never looked in that vision of, oh, I'm the female. I was just one of the guys. So this is still a new feeling to me of, you're looking at me as what I am, not who I am. So that can change your thinking, and it can make you second guess yourself. I'm learning not to second guess myself anymore, and it makes you more comfortable in your craft when you stop second guessing yourself and just do you.
Oh, that's deep. Students, you know, because this is my band class, I want to let you all know something. That some things you're hearing that have happened about being like discrimination, or when one is pregnant, that is illegal. That is a federal law. But here's the tricker. It is currently a federal law. This is why you all need to take y'all ASSs out there and vote, because you don't understand how things work. Because just as that is illegal now, some of y'all, you know, going to marry each other, have kids, get jobs. You don't make these right decisions and vote right now and understand how your government works. In the Supreme Court, they decided to tear something down called the EEOC. The things that they've gone through are illegal under federal law, period. You can Google that. I had a conversation about a student who was having a child and you know, they had an issue. So you all need to vote. I just wanted to interject that, you know, and put that out there, because, you know, some of these things that are Black African-American band directors are dealing with is just not only unethical, but it's also illegal.
All right, thank you. So what we'll do is now we'll move on to the next topic. And actually it the first two questions or topics kind of are a bridge to each other. So for this next one, a little bit more detailed. So have you had any barriers, including but not limited to prejudices, stereotypes, preconceptions, lack of support that have limited your progress? And we'll go to Mrs. Haskins. Miss Haskins.
Yes, I have had barriers. And if you see me looking down, I'm taking attendance as my students come in and go out. But I feel like with those barriers, honestly, that I have gotten through each one. I'm not saying that'll be the last barrier, but it's all about how to get through it. Barriers are designed to impede movement. So am I gonna jump over it? Am I gonna push it? Am I gonna get on it, get in it, and roll it down the hill? How am I gonna get through this barrier? That's what I'm thinking about. It's there. I need to figure out how to move it. It's gonna be there. So those are things that are gonna be happening. And just, I guess having support having support, at least 1 or 2 people that really are there for you is always helpful. We can't sit around and somebody says, oh, you ain't gonna be nothing. You ain't never gonna be nothing. You ain't gonna be. I can't be like, oh, she said I'm not nothing. I'm really nothing now. Let me go and get in the bed and get under the covers and cry and leave the music industry. How much sense does that make? That's a lot of power over someone's mind. So, I mean, no matter what people say to you, you have to choose how to use that. I'm saying that because that is a barrier that happens often. People say things often, but you can't let it become you. That's just how it is. It's gonna be said, but what is it to you?
All right, we'll go to Mrs. Collins now.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess it piggybacks off what I said from the previous question about the prejudiceness that goes on against what we have going on as females, i.e., you get married, you have kids. That's not a burden. That's something a part of my personal life that I chose to do. Thankfully, again, going back to having that connection in the program, my kids were so helpful with me. Even though I had 10 mood swings within one halftime show, they understood how we was going to operate. But yet I did not have that support at all when it came to me having a child. That didn't hinder my job at all. I had my own plan of what I was going to do with my kids. And one little slip up, I think I might have missed one game the whole season. And that's not even including playoffs. So I had that pressure of not missing anything or not upsetting anybody because I'm getting my head chewed off. Or again, saying something a certain way makes you seem like you're the mad Black lady. Like, okay, we're getting points across and usually we don't have time to talk. So sweet. Just like if you're trying to correct your own children. And I let my band parents know, I'm gonna treat your children how I treat mine. So when you release them into my house, I'm their mama. Now, when it comes to respecting that, I do it with respect and I usually gain respect back. The main hump I've had that I'm still kind of going through is the lack of support that I've needed for me. I've kept mostly a staff when it comes to my marching band program, but as in me speaking up for myself, saying I need help with something. And I usually get the response, oh, y'all always do a good job. You'll pull it off. You can handle it. I'm like, I actually would like some help. Like maybe go to the bathroom by myself and somebody can still run something for me. That'd be great. So I feel sometimes I can't show any kind of weakness. It's been times, even when I was drum major under Timothy Chambers, it's been times where I had to step away and just straight cry. And we've already known with the ladies on this panel, I don't have to ask them. Our circle is very small. We can't just go down the hall and just let it out with the chorus teacher. We might be cool, but you're not gonna understand what I'm going through. So when it comes to having that connection with someone outside of this school that you're at, you have to be able to let that out. You have to be able to vent to somebody because you can't do it where you are. And that kind of helps you navigate because 10 times out of 10, that female band director that you're talking to has been there and done that. So they can help with navigating through that pushback that you're getting. And like Haskins was saying, whether you're gonna go over it, through it, or around it, you find a way. You're gonna feel beat up at the beginning. I don't care how good you are. Something's gonna smack you in the face to remind you of what you are. So having that mentality of not letting that get to you and having a plan and having that buddy to talk to that's in your same shoes, it helps a lot. And it helps with your game plan. Because at the end of the day, we just want to do
Okay. So we'll, while she's getting that worked out, we'll go on to Dr. Brock.
Well, I've already talked about, the prejudice and stereotypes, but as far as lack of support, there have been times where I interviewed for a position, got the position, said, yeah, can I see the band room? And they were avoiding allowing me seeing the band room. I'm like, why is that? And then when I finally got in the position, they wanted me to sign a contract first, got to the band room, whole bunch of instrument cases in there. Every case was empty. So what I had to do was just utilize my resources and everything, but yet they wanted the band ready for the first game. So I use my resources, contacting colleagues that I marched with at different schools. I reached out to a very good friend, Taylor Whitehead, and borrowed instruments, called around to people, got instruments from other schools, looked on eBay, Craigslist, you name it, and also connected with the community and got some of the alumni band members and a former band director to donate instruments so we could be ready for the game. But definitely lack of support. Oftentimes, you'll get a budget and then the first thing they come to cut is your band budget. They'll cut band, athletics and stuff if they've overspent, in other areas, especially in higher ed. They will sometimes they'll cut your band budget when they've given out too many academic scholarships. They want to come after your scholarship money. And that's not privileged information. That's just general information. So it's not about, oh, you shouldn't have said that. I wish somebody would check me on that. I really would, because they can't. Because it's true and it's not putting anyone down. It's just saying it's the nature of the beast, especially at our HBCUs. When we're out of money, we take it from the arts and we take it from athletics. K-12 levels are the same thing. A lot of the times we'll go through and we'll get a surplus every other year, but we're on a rotation. So in the meantime, we have to use our resources. But those, as far as lack of support, technically throughout my career, I've had some very good support from administrators, community, and alumni. Oh my goodness, alumni. Alumni for me, I know some people have had different experiences, but I just want to take this moment to shout out the alumni of Elizabeth City State University. Even though I've been in different positions here and there, I will say that they are one of the strongest alumni corps I'd ever worked with in my entire life. And when we needed uniforms and the fact that they took the time and within a 2-hour period from a simple 15-minute pitch that me and my staff gave, they raised $470,000 in 2 hours to help get uniforms for the marching SOC. And so I will always be grateful and always show mad love no matter where I am for the alumni at large, but especially the alumni band members at Elizabeth City State University. But support has been, up and down depending on how you look at it. But you just have to use your resources wisely. One thing I love about us women, we're going to be creative and we're going to take lemons and make lemonade, no matter what we're given.
All right, great. That is awesome. Great. I think we'll continue, and then when Ms. Collins gets back in, we'll just throw it to her. Let's now. You back?
Here.
Yes.
Okay, great. She's back.
I don't know what's going on my side of town, so I'm back and forth if it lets me in.
Okay. Did you have anything lastly on the topic that we're on now?
Oh no, I covered what I was saying.
Okay, great. Okay, so now let's transition to, so from your experiences as a leader, what advice would you give to an emerging female music educator? And we will start with Miss Haskins.
Okay, so for emerging female music educators or any educator, future music educator, we have to know how to follow first to lead, as cliche as it sounds. As a leader, you're gonna have to be able to teach your flock how to follow and lead. So the first thing that I think you need to do is know how to follow and be a good follower. Also, learn from your leaders. Every leader that you have may not be necessarily a good leader, but you can learn from them whether they're a good leader or whether they're a bad leader. You take, a little bit from each one. So that is what I would say to that question.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Collins.
I guess with personal experience, having a plan your vision that you want for that particular program. I wouldn't say have a cookie cutter plan. You can have a template, but every program is not the same. It doesn't have the same need. You won't have the same kids every year, because some years you'd be like, well, where'd y'all come from? Well, you have to have a plan for that. And as a director, a lot of people don't know that sometimes you get surprised yourself, whether it be good or bad. But I would definitely say yes, with learning how to be a team player, not getting taken advantage of, please do not. Learning the rules and regulations, because you will be challenged, especially with you being a female. Sometimes the powers that can kind of override certain things that is unnecessary, or try to demand certain things that's unnecessary. If you know the rules and regulations of where you are, you can protect yourself and not being ran over with. And the main thing is, when it comes to the inside of your program, be transparent, be flexible. This pandemic here, if you're not flexible, you probably already quit. And that part really has nothing to do with gender, but I would say being a female band director is a unique position. Most will look at you as needing to be nurturing. You might naturally be, but if you are, you also need that tough side, because every kid's not going to come to you smiling saying, oh, gee, I'm so ready to learn. No, it's some kids you got to get straight. Just like in your own household, I'm sure your parents have not been smiling in your face the whole time. So if you look at it that way, I look at my program as more of a family aspect. And sometimes I gotta be mama and daddy at the same time, and you're gonna get both of them at the same time. So knowing your strengths and weaknesses will help. If you're timid, work on putting yourself out there. Build a team around you that helps you in the areas you may not be strong in. Everybody can't be on the same team doing the same stuff. You need to have a team, just like if you're putting together, football, basketball, everyone has different strengths in their position. That's how you need to put that. At the end of the day, it's called chess. Go into these type of positions, especially as a female band director, you're playing chess, not checkers. You make the moves you make for your program. It's chess, meaning you have to think beyond what you see right there and have that plan. Just in case you don't get that support, you're good. That's why a lot of times we can compare it to, I hate to say stereotypically, the single Black mother, but she's looked at with strength, that she can hold it down no matter what. She just worked a 12-hour shift, came home, cooked, still held it down for her kids, and went on about life. If you don't have support, good or bad, you still have to have that plan. And if you put that and invest it in your kids, they will see it and they will do it. So having that preset before you get there and you paint that picture for them, it will fall into place.
Thank you.
From my perspective, I would say for emerging female leaders and for the emerging male music educators, document everything. Document everything, keep a note when you meet with your administrators, when you meet with parents, when you meet with students, document everything. It is so important to be able to go back and refer to your notes when you're challenged on something, or when you just need to reaffirm something with your students, be it positive or in the case of a negative situation. You want to document everything. Some people call it CYA. I just call it fact checking. Okay, so just making sure that you can pull the things when you need it. Additionally, for my emerging female music educators, take the time to get into your music history. Take the time now to research the other females who are in your field. Currently in higher education, you have female band directors right there in your conference at Elizabeth City State University, at Virginia Union University. You also have my colleagues at Grambling State University, Mississippi Valley State University. But additionally, outside of that field, you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful mentor of mine at Norfolk State University, Ms. Stephanie Sanders. In addition to that, you have African-American female directors at Chicago State University, Penn State University. You have, I believe there's still someone at Claflin. So just get out there and start researching early others that look like you, that are doing what you want to do, both on the K-12 level and higher ed. K-12 level, one name that comes to mind is Dr. Myra Roden. You definitely want to make sure you get in touch with her and just reach out, say, hi, hello, my name is such and such and such. I'm a music major at Fayetteville State University. I'm an open book. Just what can you tell me about your field? What advice can you give me, you know, to prepare for this field? What challenges did you face? Ask them some of the same questions that you all are asking us here today. Learn more about the people in your field, because definitely there are some great role models out here, great influences out here, but also begin with the end in mind. Think about where you want to go and constantly keep that at the forefront of your mind. I used to put a picture on my refrigerator to remind me every day of what I was working towards, be it my house, be it my car, be it my family. So if you see it every day, you're going to become what you see. You're going to work harder for what you want. So I would just say document everything, reach out and learn more about your field, reach out to these directors, build your network system early. Whenever Dr. Reed takes you somewhere, don't just sit around and socialize with your friends. Talk to these directors, talk to other conductors that are there. Just because they're not your band director doesn't mean they don't have anything valuable to impart in you. So do not be afraid to approach someone. The least they can say is no, or you have to reach me at another time. But keep asking, be persistent. So those are my bits of advice.
I want to re-emphasize that what Dr. Rock stated. Students, it's crucial. Believe it or not, you all are on social media looking at, you know, who knows what, and TikTok and Instagram. But believe it or not, a lot of these directors are very approachable. They may look mean and, you know, like bears, but you could just send a message. Now, I know I just recently checked my Facebook, so some may not check their Facebook Messenger, but maybe you could write a note on their wall, you know, where, you know, somewhere where they are active, and you'll be surprised. Composers, you know, Ms. Haskins is a composer, and we have two future female music educators. One just crossed Tau Beta Sigma, has perfect pitch, percussion section leader, plays piano, keyboard. You know, definitely want her to connect, and you know, you can reach. I mean, honestly, they're reachable. It's you know, it's really not something to be afraid of. You know, and you'd be surprised the information you can get. You know, seek other sources or get information from other areas. You know, just like my colleagues are saying that, you know, they're there. You know, you may have some questions after this, and you can find them. Their names are right there. Type it in and just say, hey, you know, you play clarinet. What is a bass clarinet embouchure the same as a clarinet? You know, just simple stuff like what kind of reeds do you use? Ask questions. You know, your band director, me, I do not know everything. The doctorate, those three letters don't mean anything. That means that I still got to learn more things. That's what it means. So, you know, you got to ask, you know, these questions. So, you know, reach out, definitely, especially with the technology that you all have.
Right, thank you for that. Okay, we'll move on to our next topic, and pretty sure it's something that people out there really want to know. How do you maintain balance between being a music educator and your personal and family lives? So we will go to Miss Haskins.
Okay, so I would say right now during the pandemic, it's been a little easier since everything is virtual. It's boring to sit in front of the computer all day, but because I'm doing that, it's easier for me to get up and go. My family is in Durham. My parents are right down the street. So as far as visiting family, I can roll out of the window and be there. And that's just really good. I'm happy to be back in Durham, Bull City represent. But what I would say is making a schedule. And I am a dinosaur, so I just got me an Apple Watch, and I'm so excited that it's compatible with this thing. and I schedule everything. I just be scheduling because I can do it. And it's just so cool that it tells me in about 30 minutes, I got something to do. So that right there has really helped with my planning because I have not always been an organized person. I'm new in the organization world, maybe about 5 years. So I think scheduling things and just having something to remind you kind of keeps you on track. I always thought, well, I'm just go off the whiff. I can do that. No, you might think it, but you need those reminders. So I think that's very important to have on a schedule.
Awesome, great. All right, Mrs. Collins.
Well, I have experienced different aspects when it comes to my personal life, including my career. Honestly, depending on the individual, how much time you want to put into that. But you do know what you focus on is what you move towards. What you don't balance is what you lose. You see a lot of band directors that y'all can already tell, it seems like they're married to their program because it can pull you in. It's so much stuff you have to get done outside of just the music that there's never enough hours in the day. I actually didn't know how to balance myself until a few years ago when I met my husband, because I was band all day, all night. Let's go. I'll pack the kids up. Woo, band. That took over my whole life. And with my husband, this world was new to him. So when we first started dating, he was like, no, wait a minute. No, what's this? And I'm kind of like, well, I used to come by and visit him, you know, after band camp. I had my laptop, the phone was going. He was like, no, thanks. So I actually had to learn how to respect the world that I was a part of. With band programs, that's our baby. So we're going to give all of our love and attention to our baby. But depending on the individual of what you want in your personal life, if you don't have anything else going on, it's a lot easier. But say you do want to get married, or you do want to, just like currently now, I'm gearing up to enter into grad school 15 years later. Now, mind you, it's never too late, but you're looking at what you want to do for yourself. I decided for myself, I wanted to remarry and settle down with the husband I have now, which is going great. But there had to be a balance, which my mother on here has enforced in my brain. If that's something you want in your life, you have to balance your personal and your business. Sometimes you have to clock out. Band directors never clock out. We try, I promise you, we're the best people to disappear at certain points in the summer where you can't even get us to respond to an email. We are out. But our brains are still thinking about organize this and that. Our brains are always like this, but you have to decompress that for a moment, and you have to take care of yourself, your personal life, whether you're single, dating, married, children. You actually have to give your time to that. And is that hard? Yes. You have to make 30 hours into a day. And like Haskins was saying, making that schedule, I literally have to make a schedule for my whole day. I got a baby. She can care less if I have band or not. She's been sick at home the last 2 days. She don't care if I have class, but I have to prep. If you're a prepper, that's great. If you're not, please learn now. Prepping yourself for the days to come, it helps you with your schedule. Procrastinator, learn not to be one now. If you're the type to do that out the way, because in your professional life, it's going to affect you in a negative way. So if you're constantly prepping and have things balanced with personal and business, it's a lot smoother.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You definitely have to plan. And yes, being a band director, sometimes you have to have that balance. A lot of band directors, you'll find, and is a sad statistic, it's one that hopefully, this next generation can help correct. But you have a lot of band directors who are, divorced or separated or on second and third marriages a lot of the times, and it's because a lot of times there was no balance there before, or we gave everything to our programs and things like that. But I would say, I think Big Red said it best. My office hours are from 9 to 5. And so a lot of times you have to know when to cut it off. I've gotten myself a second phone because, I used to always tell people, if you need me, call me. But if you call me, you better need me, but at the same time, I found that too many people having my personal cell phone number was not good for business. So definitely I have a business phone and I have a personal phone, and you have to be able to turn it off. Have a set time where you're going to check your emails during the day. Have a set time where you're going to respond to people. It's okay. They'll tell you, give us 24 to 48 hours to respond. You have that same right to do so. So have a good balance. I agree with Ms. Haskins. Make a to-do list, make a schedule, prioritize, but then you have to learn the power of the word no. It's okay to say no. It's okay not to be able to have your hands in everything. You also have to learn how to delegate responsibility. What is the purpose of having a staff if you're not going to use your staff? And if you're not sure, confident that your staff is doing what they're supposed to do, train them. Tell them what you want them to do. Have them give input. That way they can be a better service to you. That's why they're your staff. Your student leaders, same thing. Train your student leaders. You don't always have to be on the podium. You don't always have to be on the podium during halftime. Have confidence in your product. That way you can take the stress off yourself. You should be around shaking hands and kissing babies and recruiting for your program, not conducting every song that comes out of your book. Trusting your student leaders to do that. Trust those music majors that you're training to become future educators. This is their practicum time. This is their forum to apply what you're teaching them in class. Trust them to get on the podium. This is a good trial and error time for them now. It takes the stress off of you, and it allows you the confidence and the comfort to know that you can turn it off at 5 o'clock and not have to worry about what fires you still have to put out at 9 at night. Again, I agree with Ms. Collins. I'm so thankful for my mister, and just to say, hey, baby, it's time to turn that off. It's family time now. So I appreciate, just the opportunity to just have that family time. And while I'm so excited, my daughter wants to go into education. Music education is not my push, it's hers. But I'm so thankful that she has her own mind and that we still have family time where we're not just talking band all the time. You don't ever want to bring work home and that be your conversation, especially when your significant other is not in your field. You want to have something that's refreshing to talk about. If you're always talking about work, 9 times out of 10, the quality of life in your relationship is going to suffer, and you may not be with that person very long. So it's so important to ask them about their day too. Don't always start about, man, guess what happened? You have to learn how to be a listener sometimes and not always be the authoritative person. We're so used to being the lecturer and giving the directions. We have to sometimes learn how to kind of quiet ourselves down. Like I said, have office hours, stick to those office hours. Always reflect on what you're doing. Put family first, put your faith first, whatever that may be. But learn how to have an equal balance, and then assess yourself each week, and then deprogram yourself as well. I think deprogramming and self-care is so important to not burning out in this profession, and not burning out before you even get into the profession. Music education majors, we're stressed right now. And that's something, I'll present later, but we're stressed right now. But you don't want to burn out before you had a chance to get your first paycheck. And some of us are at that point now where we want to just hang all this up and say, psh, I'm gonna go major in basket weaving. I'm gonna go sell these timeshares. I'll be right back with you. So have that balance, okay? But yeah, balance, communication is the key to success in your family. So put your family first. The job will be there.
All right, thank you. We appreciate those words, and we are actually at our last question for the panel. And again, we all owe our success to those that came before us. And so I always say, I stand on the shoulders of giants, from my influences, Mr. Roosevelt Pratt, Dr. Jerome Reed, Dr. John Locke, you know, people who came before me, who I looked up to and who kind of got me to where I am today. So with this last question, who are some other female music educators or band directors that influenced you to go into this field or have had an impact on your career? Miss Haskins.
I wouldn't say that I had any female band director who influenced me to go into the field because I didn't have any. Everybody was male, and I was also a sheltered child, so all I knew was Southern High School in Durham, North Carolina. I didn't know anything about any other school. But as far as when I got into the field, one of the most influential and still influential to this day is Stephanie K. Sanders. I had an amazing time studying with her at Norfolk State, just seeing her in the band room and how honestly she can take anything on a piece of paper and just make it jump off at you to the point where you can't be in there sitting still. It's just no way. And those things I didn't realize that I was subliminally picking up, because as I become the director here at Hillside, I noticed a lot of things that I have seen her do, or the mannerisms, they just come out. Big influence, big influence. And other than Miss Sanders, I would also say Professor Juliet Boykins has been a dynamic inspiration to me. I knew of her at IC Norcom, and I was just always so amazed at what she was able to do as a female. And in addition to her, it would be Miss Robin Reeves, who was my first band director at North Carolina Central University for my first 2 years. So those three ladies are the ones who had the impact on my career.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Collins.
Unfortunately, growing up, I didn't see it. I was surrounded by males, my father being one. My father was also a music educator, and getting his teachings, I got a lot of my teachings and my avenue that I was going to go through either my father or the professors that I had. My first go about with a music professor would have been Dr. Janice James. She's no longer at Fayetteville State, but she was a tough cookie. And she made me listen. Miss Fleming, I don't know about her tone, but she can just get a whole class together like that. Never yelled. She didn't play that mess. And I used to wear her down every day, to the fact she actually loved me at the end. And she basically helped me get through the end part. Those that are going through music theory, I feel your pain. Getting through those steps as a music major, she definitely did not play. She didn't have mercy on me because I was a female aspiring to be X, Y, and Z. She gave it to me straight. She didn't let anybody cross her, and she gave you the path that you needed with no sugar on top. As I entered the field, when I was a middle school band director, there is a female Caucasian director here, Miss Felicia McNaught. I definitely was impressed, and I love the template that she had for her kids. She's taught so many band directors. A lot of the current band directors here actually had her as a teacher, and I admired the longevity of the loyalty that her kids give her. When she needs somebody from 20 years ago, they are right there with an instrument and probably a donation too. And I definitely admired the template she gave new band directors, especially on the middle school level, of how to get started. I was able to take her template. Can you use a cookie cutter template? No, you can't. But taking her template as something to put towards the program I had when it came to recruiting and creating relationships with your kids, it looks effortlessly, but it's not. So I definitely took note of that for a few years from her. And then honestly, in the last few years, it's becoming a high school band director. The first HBCU female band director I laid eyes on was our very own Dr. Brock. I was like, yo, Black Girl Magic, hey. So I was so excited to see her at Clark Atlanta. It was something that I was able to proudly say that, wow, this chick is so cool. And just to be honored to know that I had met her, and to also show my kids, because I have Black girls in my band. I have girls now that want to try out for drum major or say, Miss Collins, I want to do what you do, but I need somebody to look up to also. I may not be in this position forever, or I might need someone that's been there, done that 10 times over. So looking at her and the progress that she's made and the moves that she's made, and knowing what she's been through, and getting over those obstacles was very inspiring. So definitely very proud to say you're on the same call and I get to share this platform with you. But again, our circle is very small. If you notice, we weren't exposed to this very early. I know I wasn't. So seeing it later on in life and actually see someone progress past what I thought, it took me outside of that bubble of, guys, you're cool and all, but y'all don't run everything. So it's nice to see the other side.
All right, thank you for that, Dr. Brock.
Thank you. For me, the three most influential females for me were Miss Irma Price. She was my middle school band director, but she's also my cousin. And just seeing her growing up, you know, as a choir director at my church, and then just seeing her like, oh, she's a band director. And then I got a chance to be in her band. So she was my very first influence as, okay, yeah, women can do this and do it well. Sean Batten, the band director at Greensville County High School in Emporia. She was my high school band director. She introduced me to Mr. Houghton at Virginia State University, and was definitely influential in helping me to become the person I am today. And then of course, Stephanie Sanders, she has been there for me. She has been a mentor. I met her as an undergraduate student when I was at Virginia State, but then I had the opportunity to study with her at Norfolk State University. And to this day, I can still pick up the phone and call her for advice, just call her just to talk with her and just share with her. And she's always had a positive word for me in the industry. On the male side, my two biggest influences, there are many, but my two biggest influences, of course, were Mr. Harold Houghton at Virginia State University, who, because I went to Virginia State at age 16, was actually my guardian on record because I couldn't do anything at 16 years old, being a minor on a college campus. But he's has been there again every step of the way, and I can call him now anytime I take a new step in the industry. I call him first for his advice. Even when I got married, I asked him for his approval first before I got married years ago. And then, of course, Donovan Wells at Bethune-Cookman University. Donovan and I are blood family, and just watching him from his career as a band director on the high school level to his progression at Bethune-Cookman University, and then just watching how he handles the operationals part of his program. He taught me how to be tough. He taught me how to just roll with the punches. He also taught me how to navigate the hard times when it comes to dealing with tough administration and, you know, improper budgets and things like that. So those are the most influential ones, you know, and I definitely have to, of course, shout out Paul Adams and O'Neill Sanford for just being there for me as well and allowing me to be in the conversations with them, networking with many of my colleagues that I now call my peers today. If it wasn't for O'Neill Sanford and Paul Adams and Harold Houghton making me go talk to other directors when we went to IMA conferences and other conferences, then I would not have the close connections I have with them today.
Great, thank you. And also too, if there are any students or future educators on the call, you all need to go back and watch this live and take notes of all the names that were said today. And you know, again, we really appreciate everything that you three ladies have given to us today. Everything that you've said has been very, very empowering, and your representation today and your voice on all of these subjects, on all of these critical topics, you all are giving a voice to some that think that they are the unheard, which is, we know, is not true. And so again, we appreciate that. And with that,
yeah, one thing real quick. Can the Fayetteville State female our music education majors, if you could just go ahead and introduce yourself and your instrument real quick. Yep, you're on the spot. Come on now, some of you, you're new to Tau Beta Sigma, Theta Alpha. Go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick.
Hello everyone. I'm Destiny Jackson, a junior here at Cybil State, music education major. I am a percussionist, and also a member of Tau Beta Sigma National Honorary Sorority Incorporated. And before I go, I just wanted to say thank you to all the speakers. You guys gave me a lot of good advice, because there are times where I kind of contemplate being a music educator, but your words have motivated me to continue and to become one in the future. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Leanne. I'm a senior music education major here at Cybil State University. My instrument is piccolo, and I also do voice on the side. And I don't like to talk a lot, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. And with that being said, we can ask for everyone to unmute your mics and please give our panel a round of applause. Thank you.
Oh, I thought he was going to ask a question. My bad.
It's 3.
Oh, good, good. Thank you all for coming on again. Thank you for speaking to our kids, our students. We really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Also, students, Dr. Brock is going to be back. We're going to schedule another time again to talk about some mental health issues and stress. That's something that we often try to overlook. And the conversation that actually is good that these conversations are starting to be had now. So we're going to have that. But next week we have Mr. Dandrick Glenn. I was going to do a low brass performance recital. Fayetteville State, he's our trombone professor, low brass professor. And after that, we'll have Ms. Drita Waters, also Fayetteville State University alum, who will also be coming. So the surprise will always be at the end of these calls of who's coming in. So we're gonna still open up and have these voices, come out. And we do have some more female music education majors, but they're a little shy. But we're definitely gonna encourage them to connect with you all, because at some point, who knows, they may have to do their student teaching with you, and so, exactly. So, but again, thank you. We appreciate it. And did you have anything else, Mr. Chalmers?
Yes, as always, want to give a couple of acknowledgments before we get out of here. First of all, of course, we want to thank the panel again for your words and your wisdom today. I just want to shout out Hillside High School, your students, all the Hillside students, alumni that's on the call, 71st students is on the call. Again, if make Fayetteville State your home, because that we'll take care of you. Hillside and 71st students, Mr. Charles Connor, Warren Shaw, Ms. Lynn Fleetwood, Jarita Waters, Mr. Dominique Hunter, Mr. Roosevelt Pratt, Mr. Oscar Wright, and Mr. Devon Pickett. We appreciate your presence on the call. If anyone that was on the call that I did not name, just send me your information. Most definitely I'll be able to shout you out again. So we thank you all for your presence and we appreciate your support. And thank you students for being on. It's required anyway, but we appreciate your presence. Thank you everybody for coming out. We'll see you all next week.